Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Chisomji. If you haven't already, make sure you like, even before watching, comment, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. All right, so let's get started. My name is Dr. Gladys Obaji. I am a licensed physician. I'm currently in training and fellowship. Hopefully, I'm hoping to become a rheumatologist in the future. So that's actually what I'm working towards. But I think I have enough experience and training. I've done 4 years of medical school, 3 years of internal medicine residency, and now I'm currently in fellowship. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the World Cup. Okay, so as you all know, some of you may, if you're a football or a soccer fan, that you should know that the World Cup is being held here in the U.S. At East Rutherford, New Jersey, from June 11th, 2026 to July 19th, 2026. So this is exciting news, and I felt like this is a great time to talk a lot more about things that you should prepare for health-wise. So a few things that I'm going to discuss in this video are things that you should consider before traveling, so pre-travel, things that you should consider after travel, and things that you should consider keeping in a little, let's say, like travel kit. Let's call it that. And then I'm also going to discuss something that's probably making a lot of people worried or scared about coming to the US, which is this Hantavirus. Interestingly enough, I have never, in my few years of training, I have never seen a case of hantavirus. I've heard about it in books, but I have never actually taken care of a patient with hantavirus. So I'll discuss a little bit more about that at the end of our video. So number one, pre-travel. What should you consider before coming into the United States of America? First thing is first, make sure you try and see your physician, especially if you have chronic illnesses. And this doesn't only apply to older people. There are young people in their 20s who have chronic illnesses. I'm practicing to become a rheumatologist, and I know that there are a few adults, in their 20s, 30s who have autoimmune diseases. So one thing that I want you to make sure that you do is at least a few weeks before traveling, make sure you see your primary care physician or your specialist. If you don't have one, maybe go ahead and see a travel health specialist. Make sure that you're up to date with your vaccinations. So here in the US, we're required at birth. Most of us have the standard vaccinations. We have the MMR, which is mumps, measles, rubella, and then there's also varicella vaccinations. If you don't know whether or not you are vaccinated, possibly just see your physician, get some blood tests. You can actually check something called a titer, which helps to know if your body has mounted enough antibodies to these viruses. And if these titers are not within range, it might be a good idea to get these vaccinations before coming here. Another thing to consider before you travel is to make sure to look at your itinerary. So you want to make sure that you have health insurance at least on your itinerary, and make sure that whatever ticket you bought also has accommodation for emergency evacuation, just in the setting that you have to leave the U.S. urgently. A lot of people, they look at their ticket and they see insurance, but most of the time this insurance only includes trip cancellations. So you want to make sure that you have health insurance and a possible emergency evacuation accommodation available to you as well, just in case. And then, as we all know, with COVID, that really, shook us in 2019. 2019 up, it was a requirement for us to have mandatory testing for COVID and to also have your vaccination, proof of vaccination. Now those restrictions have been lifted. So there are no such restrictions or mandatory testing for COVID. So unless you're a type A person who wants to carry around everything, sure, keep a vaccination card with you, but just know that it is not required. So those are a few things that you should consider before traveling. Now, after travel, there isn't really much that you might need to consider. I would say the main thing really is if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling under the weather, if you're feeling like you just feel unwell, make sure that you see a licensed provider or physician after your travels. I said I was going to discuss a little bit about the hantavirus, which is a virus that's usually actually spread through rodent droppings. So this includes urine, feces, saliva. If a surface is contaminated, if a rat or a rodent bites you, for example, that's the usual way of transmission. So usually it's transmitted from the contact with animal products or like fluid. However, the variant to that was found in several passengers who are coming in from Argentina was the Andes variant, which is actually the only one that is transmitted from human to human. I know, scary, of course. When the virus comes here to the US, it's the one that's transmitted from human to human. So unfortunately, it is transmitted from human to human. And usually it's if you're in close contact with that individual. According to some of the research that I looked into, it seems like a lot of several of the patients that tested positive for the virus are in quarantine, and unfortunately some are in the hospital, I believe down in Atlanta, Georgia. They're telling us that it's under control. I can't really speak too much on it, but some symptoms that to be wary of are things like GI symptoms, fever. A major complication of the hantavirus is something called community-acquired pneumonia, which can lead to respiratory distress later down the line. So it's just, some symptoms to consider. I don't want to scare you because you might just have seasonal allergies or the cold, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, do I have the virus? Maybe not. But again, if you're leaving the country and you've left the country and you feel a bit sick, make sure you get tested for that. So those are just a few things about the hantavirus in terms of what to keep in your travel kit. So in your travel kit, I would say, especially if you have chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, all that good stuff, make sure you have your prescriptions, you've seen your doctor, you have your refills ready. You don't want to be here stranded and worried about how to get your insulin, because medications in the US is expensive. And if you don't have insurance, I don't know what to tell you. Another thing to pack are over-the-counter medications. This might include pain relievers, especially if you're someone who has like chronic pain or like osteoarthritis. You want to make sure that you have some of these over-the-counter medications with you. So this includes like NSAIDs, Tylenol. If you're someone who gets allergies, maybe having some like antihistamines like Benadryl or Allegra or something like that with you as well. Make sure to have a mask. Again, COVID restrictions have been lifted, but just make sure, just in case, just have a mask because you're going to be in a very crowded area. So if you feel like you don't feel safe, if you feel like people are coughing everywhere, just bring a mask, okay? And stay safe. Bring an insect repellent with you, sunscreen with SPF of over 15. Make sure to also bring some disinfectants. As I had mentioned before with the hantavirus, not to say, again, hantavirus is not very endemic to the US. So just in case, if you want to clean the surfaces, bring a disinfectant like wipe, so you can use to like clean surfaces that you're using. Bring a hand sanitizer. I have a lot of that here. And then lastly, if you have a health insurance card, make sure you bring that as well. But yeah, so those are just a few tips and tricks that you should consider before you come to the US of A for the World Cup. Today is actually, I think, May 20th. And yesterday, it seems like Arsenal fans were very ecstatic that their team actually won a game. And I'm very happy for you guys. And I think this is a great segue into the World Cup. I'm actually not a big sports person, but I love watching the World Cup. I think it's because it just brings all these different countries together. I'm from Nigeria, and football or soccer is the same thing. Is very big in Nigeria. So, and I feel like it's so easy to get. Like football, like regular football, like American football, I don't really understand it as much. But with soccer, I feel like it's just easy to get. And I already know the team that I'm rooting for. Can you guess in the comment section? All right, so let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to put in the comment section. And remember to share. This might save someone's life. You never know. And make sure to subscribe. All right, bye.